There are moments in life when something you wanted so deeply suddenly slips away, when a relationship that once felt like the center of your world begins to crumble, and you're left asking questions that echo in the silence. You try to understand why. You replay conversations, revisit memories, look for signs you missed. You wonder if you could have done more, if you should have fought harder, if perhaps love could have fixed it all. But then, somewhere deep in your heart, a quiet whisper says, "Let it go." I removed that for a reason. That whisper is divine. It's not the voice of defeat, it's the voice of protection. God is not punishing you. He's preparing you. The door that closed was not rejection, it was redirection. When God removes someone from your life, it's rarely because He wants to leave you lonely or broken. It's because He has seen things you cannot see, heard conversations you were not meant to hear, and knows the path that person would have led you down if you stayed. Sometimes the greatest act of love from God is not in what He gives, but in what He takes away. It hurts, yes. It feels unfair, yes. But love that comes from heaven never intends to destroy you, it intends to guide you. You see, while you were crying over what ended, God was already working on what's next. While you were asking, why, He was answering with, because I have better. People often think closure comes from conversations, from neatly tied endings, from mutual understanding. But sometimes closure is silent. It's God's hand removing someone quietly while you're too focused on keeping them. And even though it feels like loss, it's actually liberation. That relationship may have looked good to your eyes, but God saw beyond the surface. He saw the distractions it brought, the way it slowly pulled your heart away from peace, from purpose, from Him. You might have prayed for that relationship to work, but He heard prayers you forgot you prayed, prayers for joy, for clarity, for growth, for peace. He knew that in order to answer those, He had to remove what was hindering them. So He blocked it. Not to break you, but to bless you. There are seasons when God will let something fall apart not because it was all wrong, but because it was not right for the future He's building for you. Maybe it taught you something valuable. Maybe it helped you see your worth, your strength, your capacity to love. But its season ended. You can honor what it was without clinging to what it no longer is. You can bless the lesson without reopening the wound. Going back would only delay your healing. God doesn't close a chapter for you to rewrite it, He closes it to turn the page. The human heart has a tendency to hold on, even to what hurts. We justify it by calling it loyalty, love, or faith. But sometimes, holding on is just fear in disguise, fear of starting over, fear of being alone, fear that maybe we won't find something better. Yet faith and fear cannot occupy the same space. Faith says, if God took it, I trust His reason. Faith says, if it ended, something new will begin. Faith says, if it was mine, it would have stayed. You cannot move forward while looking backward. Every time you revisit what God released, you delay the blessing He's preparing. Every time you reopen that door, you're telling heaven you don't trust the plan. Remember, God does not remove what you need. He removes what hinders. Sometimes the thing you thought was your destiny was only your distraction. You prayed for love, and you received something that looked like love, but it was meant to teach, not to stay. God will often allow certain relationships to enter your life as lessons dressed as blessings. They awaken parts of you, reveal wounds you didn't know you carried, and push you toward healing. Once they've served their purpose, they fade. Trying to resurrect them is like trying to breathe life into what God declared finished. That's why He whispers, "Don't go back." Maybe the person you loved wasn't bad. Maybe they were good, but not good for you. Maybe they fit who you were, but not who you are becoming. God will never align your future with someone who keeps you tied to your past. And sometimes, love has an expiration date when growth begins to separate paths. You may love them deeply, but if they cannot walk where God is leading you, the relationship cannot stay. Divine purpose will always outweigh human preference. God's plan will always outrun your pain. The truth is, heartbreak has a hidden mercy. It purifies your desires. It shows you what real love should and shouldn't be. It teaches you to depend on God more than on people. It reminds you that your worth is not defined by who stays, but by who you are even when they leave. The pain may feel unbearable now, but one day, you'll look back and thank God for the closed door. One day you'll realize that if it had worked out, you would have settled. You would have missed the fullness of what was meant for you. The loneliness you feel today is not a punishment, it's preparation. It's the sacred space where God reshapes you, restores you, and redefines what you deserve. There will come a day when you wake up and the ache in your heart will be softer. The memories will no longer sting. You'll see the wisdom in the loss. You'll realize that God's no was not rejection but redirection towards something far greater. The love you were holding onto so tightly will be replaced by peace. And peace will become your new love language. You'll stop asking, "Why didn't it work?" and start saying, "Thank you that it didn't." Because everything God does, even the painful things, carries purpose. You might not see it now, but God's protection often looks like unanswered prayers. The door that didn't open, the message that wasn't returned, the apology that never came, all of it was divine orchestration. He's protecting your spirit from what would have distracted or destroyed it. The rejection was actually God's redirection. The silence was His shield. The distance was His deliverance. It's not that you weren't enough, it's that the situation wasn't aligned with His plan. When God says no, it's never out of cruelty. It's out of love. And when He says, "Don't go back," it's because there's nothing behind you worth missing once you've seen what He's preparing ahead. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without reliving. It means thanking God for the lesson and letting go of the pain. It means walking forward even when part of you wants to turn back. It means choosing peace over nostalgia. Because nostalgia will lie, it will make you remember the laughter and forget the tears, remember the closeness and forget the confusion. But God remembers it all. He saw every moment that broke you. He knows what you endured, what you prayed for, what you forgave silently. And because He loves you, He couldn't let you stay in something that was slowly dimming your light. You were made for more than emotional survival. You were made to thrive, to shine, to love without losing yourself. God will never ask you to shrink to fit someone else's comfort. He will never bless a relationship that requires you to compromise your peace or your purpose. So if He blocked it, accept it as mercy. Even if it came wrapped in heartbreak, it's still grace. Sometimes His greatest miracles come disguised as endings. Sometimes His biggest blessings arrive after goodbyes. And when the urge to look back comes, and it will, remind yourself that peace was the price you paid for staying. That confusion was constant, that prayer felt unanswered, that something in your spirit always felt unsettled. God doesn't give peace when you're out of position. If it was right, it would have brought rest, not chaos. You wouldn't have had to beg for consistency or question your worth. Love from God never makes you doubt who you are. It confirms it. It builds, it doesn't break. It uplifts, it doesn't drain. It inspires, it doesn't exhaust. So don't run back to what hurt you just because you miss what it felt like to be wanted. Missing someone doesn't mean you belong with them. It just means you're human. But healing means you choose peace over presence. You are not what you lost. You are who you became after it. Every tear shaped your strength. Every disappointment deepened your discernment. Every ending refined your standards. The relationship ending was not your failure, it was your awakening. God was teaching you to value yourself the way He values you. He was teaching you that you don't have to chase what's divinely meant for you. It will meet you, match you, and stay with you in peace. That's the kind of love He's preparing, a love that won't require you to question your worth, your timing, or your sanity. But for that love to find you, you must stop revisiting what broke you. You must trust that what's gone was never meant to stay. If only you could see what God sees. If only you could glimpse how much He's preparing while you're healing. The people you'll meet, the opportunities that will unfold, the peace that will fill your heart, it's all coming. But first, you must release what was. Letting go is not weakness. It's worship. It's your way of saying, God, I trust you more than I trust my own emotions. When you surrender, you make space for blessings to flow. When you keep holding on, you block the very thing you're praying for. Faith requires empty hands so that they can be filled again. You will love again, differently, deeper, better. You will smile again without pretending. You will wake up one day and realize that your heart no longer aches for what left. It will ache for what's coming. You will thank God for the silence, for the distance, for the detour. You will see that every heartbreak was a doorway to healing, every loss a bridge to blessing. You'll see that you didn't lose love, you were simply being repositioned to receive real love. The kind that doesn't run when it rains, the kind that prays with you, the kind that honors your purpose. But you won't find that if you keep turning around. So when God says, I blocked that relationship for a reason, listen. He's not just telling you to walk away, He's telling you to walk towards something greater. He's not just closing a door, He's inviting you through another. You may not understand it now, but one day you'll see how everything you thought was falling apart was actually falling into place. You'll see how God's no became your greatest thank you. You'll see how the pain was the passage to your promise. And when that day comes, you'll whisper the same words that once felt impossible, I'm glad it ended. I'm free. The story isn't over because the relationship ended. In fact, that ending might be the very beginning of who you were meant to become. Every heartbreak births a new level of strength. Every closed door builds new character. Every loss invites you to lean on God more deeply. And when you do, you realize that nothing was ever truly lost, only transformed. God will restore what you thought was gone. Not always in the same form, but always in a better one. He will give you beauty for ashes, joy for sorrow, peace for pain. But you must trust His process. You must not go back to what He rescued you from. Let peace be your compass now. Let purpose guide your heart. Let faith silence your fears. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to believe that God's hand is on your life, even in the parts that hurt. You are not behind. You are right on time. Every detour, every delay, every ending was divine. So breathe. Forgive. Release. And keep walking forward. Because the same God who said no to that relationship is the same God who is saying yes to your destiny. Sometimes the hardest part about walking away isn't leaving the person, it's leaving the version of yourself that existed when you were with them. It's releasing the dream you built around that relationship, the plans, the hopes, the someday that felt so real. It's mourning not just what was, but what could have been. That's why letting go feels like a kind of death. But just like the seasons, some things must die for new life to grow. God never ends something without planting the seed for something new. The soil of your heartbreak is fertile ground for transformation. Every tear is watering something beautiful that will bloom in time. You may not see it yet, but this loss is shaping your destiny. It's teaching you resilience, self-worth, and discernment. It's preparing you for the kind of love that doesn't require you to beg for attention or settle for half-hearted affection. When you finally meet the person God intended for you, you'll understand why the others had to leave. You'll see that real love doesn't confuse you. It doesn't drain you. It doesn't make you question your value. Real love from God brings clarity, not chaos. It brings peace, not anxiety. It brings growth, not stagnation. That's why God had to block that relationship, because He couldn't let you trade your divine peace for temporary comfort. There are people who come into your life as lessons, not lifetimes. They are mirrors that show you what you need to heal, what you've outgrown, and what you deserve. And while they may leave, the lessons stay. Don't let bitterness harden your heart, let gratitude soften it. You can thank God for the experience without wanting it back. The same way you thank a teacher after the final exam, you learned what you needed, and now it's time to graduate. Going back would only make you repeat the same class, the same pain, the same test. And God loves you too much to let you stay in cycles that don't lead to your growth. Healing begins when you stop seeing the ending as punishment and start seeing it as promotion. God promoted you out of that relationship. He saw that it no longer matched the person He's molding you into. Growth sometimes looks like losing people who were comfortable with your old version but can't handle your healed one. That's okay. Not everyone is meant to follow you into your next season. You can love them from a distance and still move forward. The people meant for your destiny will recognize your growth and walk with you in peace. The ones not meant will fall away naturally, and that's God's hand at work, not rejection. You might find yourself tempted to reach out, to revisit, to see if maybe this time it would be different. But remember how many times you already tried. Remember how many times you prayed for peace and found yourself in the same confusion. God doesn't repeat himself. When he ends something, he means it. When he blocks something, it's final. He's not trying to take joy away from you, he's trying to protect you from unnecessary pain. Every time you think about going back, remind yourself that peace cost too much to lose it again. Remind yourself that healing is holy work, and your heart deserves a safe place to grow. The truth is, some people are not bad, they're just not built for your journey. You might have connected deeply, but connection alone isn't confirmation. Chemistry doesn't equal calling. Emotion doesn't equal alignment. You can feel deeply and still have to walk away. And that's one of the hardest lessons God teaches, to release something that feels right but isn't. But when you trust his wisdom, you'll find peace in obedience. Because obedience always leads to overflow. Disobedience always leads to delay. God's blessings are never found in the places he asked you to leave. You have a purpose too big to be trapped in pain. You have dreams that require freedom, not fear. You have gifts that can't bloom in the wrong soil. That's why God removed you from that relationship, it was limiting your wings. You were made to soar, not to settle. You were made to create, not to chase. You were made to love, but also to be loved rightly. And when God is ready, he will send someone who understands that love is not control, but companionship, not confusion, but consistency. Until then, you're not waiting, you're becoming. Becoming the healed version of you means forgiving yourself for what you tolerated. It means forgiving the other person for not being who you needed them to be. It means releasing the questions that no longer need answers. Forgiveness doesn't mean the hurt never happened, it means you've decided it won't define you. The pain may have touched you, but it doesn't own you. You're allowed to move forward even if you never got closure. Sometimes God himself is your closure. Sometimes peace arrives the moment you stop needing explanations. And while you heal, God is rebuilding what was broken inside you. He's restoring your confidence, your joy, your vision. You may not feel it yet, but every step forward is proof that you're stronger than you think. The fact that you're still standing means grace is still holding you. Every heartbeat is a reminder that your story didn't end when that relationship did. There are still chapters to be written, chapters filled with laughter, purpose, love, and new beginnings. But you can't start those chapters if you keep rereading the last one. When loneliness visits, and it will, don't see it as emptiness. See it as space. Space for God to fill, space for new blessings to arrive, space for your own soul to breathe again. Being alone is not being abandoned. It's being aligned. God often isolates before he elevates. He pulls you away from distractions so he can speak clearly. And what he's saying is simple: don't go back. Because going back would mean forfeiting everything he's preparing. It would mean trading future peace for familiar pain. It would mean walking backward while He's calling you forward. You might feel like you lost something precious, but in truth, you've been preserved. Preserved for the right love, the right timing, the right person who won't make you question God's peace but will confirm it. You will recognize them not by how loud their love is, but by how safe it feels. There will be no need to chase or convince or fix. It will flow naturally, because it's rooted in divine alignment. And by then, you'll realize that what once broke you actually built you. That what once wounded you prepared you to love better. But before that day comes, God is still writing your healing story. Don't rush it. Healing is not linear. Some days you'll feel free, and others you'll feel fragile. Some moments you'll miss what was, and others you'll be grateful it's over. That's normal. Healing isn't about never feeling pain, it's about not letting pain control you. It's about trusting that even the tears are part of your transformation. God is working through your waiting, and every step is sacred. One day you'll see how each season, even this one, was necessary. You will start to find joy in small things again, the sunlight through your window, the sound of laughter, the peace of your own company. You'll realize that you're not incomplete without anyone. You were whole all along, you just forgot for a while. God didn't block that relationship to take love away from you, He did it to remind you that love first lives within you. You cannot pour from an empty heart, and you cannot love healthily until you've learned to love yourself through God's eyes. He's using this time to refill you, to rebuild your heart, to make you ready for love that mirrors His. Every time you're tempted to question His plan, remember the moments you prayed for clarity and peace while still in that relationship. Remember how heavy it felt, how often you asked for signs. The sign was the ending. The silence was your answer. God won't always speak in words, sometimes He speaks in circumstances. And when everything starts to fall apart, it's not because He's gone, it's because He's guiding. Sometimes the only way He can move you forward is by making where you are uncomfortable. The pain is often the push. So keep walking. Keep trusting. Keep healing. The chapter that ended was never your whole story. There's a reason you didn't stay where you thought you would. There's a reason it didn't work out the way you planned. That reason is divine. God saw something you couldn't see. And one day, you'll thank Him not just for what He gave, but for what He took away. You'll thank Him for every blocked relationship, every unanswered text, every detour, every delay. Because all of it was leading you right where you belong, into purpose, into peace, into love that lasts.